Now let's meet a lady with an extremely interesting organization.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Jane Ray.
Number 2.
My name is Jane Ray.
Number 3.
My name is Jane Ray.
And our job is to find out who truly is Jane Ray, and here is her statement of service. She says, I, Jane Ray, run a unique service agency, specially tailored to meet the needs of senior citizens and busy New Yorkers. Members of my staff perform a variety of invaluable services. For example, they will meet visitors at airports and train stations. They'll shop for you and purchase theater tickets, give advice on home furnishings. In short, will do virtually anything and everything to add a gracious note to one's life. Since my service requires a feminine touch, indeed entails carrying out the kind of errands that you might call upon an indulgent aunt to perform, I call my organization simply My Favorite Aunt. Signed, Jane Ray. And we'll start the question with Peggy Cass.
Thank you. My favorite aunt, number 3. How many people work for you?
I have about 35 altogether.
Oh, but on part-time basis?
Part-time basis,
Yeah,
yes.
Now, number 1, if it isn't rude, how much does it cost by the hour to have your favorite aunt?
We charge $5 an hour.
So, now, number 2, if you were going to meet, say, my favorite aunt at the airport, would you meet her and take her back in the airport bus, or would that require a limousine?
Well, it really depends on what the client wants.
But would you really take the bus out there, meet her, and bring her back on the bus?
I'd take the bus out there, but I'd hopefully, and most likely, usually, we take the limousine back.
Well, number 3, say that somebody came to town and wanted to go to have her hair done. Do you have a series of beauty shops that you would recommend?
Yes.
That's very informative.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go down to Gene.
Number 3, I want to send my mother to a warmer climate like Phoenix, Arizona. Could you arrange for somebody to take her to the airport?
Oh, certainly.
And would you drive, I mean, if she had to be driven out, would you arrange for a car?
Certainly.
And would there be an extra charge for, I guess there'd be an extra charge for that above the $5, right?
Yes.
All right. If we send her to Arizona, will you go with me to Florida?
That's Never without an ulterior motive.
Right.
That's the longest build-up you ever took.
That's right. Listen, number 2, how do you pick these 35 ladies? I assume you have 35, right?
Yes, I have 30 ladies and 5 uncles.
Oh.
Yes, but a fair share. I know many of them, and sometimes when I'm talking to someone and I mention my organization, they become very interested, and I look for people that have definite skills.
Number 1, do you make a profit on this? I mean, is it a profit-making organization?
It certainly is.
It is?
Yes.
How long you been in business, number 1?
Just about 6 months now.
Yeah.
And to Kitty, please.
Well, that's fascinating. Number 3, what was the most outlandish request you ever had?
I got a call from a female impersonator once who asked me to buy some things for him.
That was a very legitimate request. He couldn't very well go and buy them for himself. Number 2.
Always the champion of the underdog. You're very nice.
Number 2, what do you pay your aunts and uncles?
$3.50 an hour.
Oh, and that's enough for your profit? $1.50 is enough for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1, what do the uncles do?
Well, primarily the uncles are there because sometimes we'll get a call for somebody to come up to an apartment, and being in New York, we don't feel too safe about sending a woman up to an apartment.
And what do they want when they
herself.
get there?
Generally, we have a list of things that people might need to set up an apartment, and many bachelors will use that very often.
Number 3, what do you do?
And Bill Cullen.
Number 2, I will ask you this. Do you do things that ordinarily a person might not be able to do themselves? For instance, do shopping for the man. I mean, what...
Oh, yes, definitely. This is really our specific services, and we're very good with older people because what they can't do, the shopping, we like to escort them so they can also make their own personal decisions but don't have to feel trapped.
Number 3, Excuse me. Number 3, if I wanted theater tickets that were very hard to get at reasonable prices here in town, for instance, could I call your outfit and by paying the fee, whatever it was, could you get me hard-to-get tickets?
Well, we make our best efforts.
Is this number 1 then sort of a VIP service where for a fee you will do things that people ordinarily not only wouldn't do themselves, but to go a step further perhaps couldn't do themselves?
Yeah, that's a good summary.
For instance, example, airline tickets are difficult to get at the last moment. Do you have contacts at the airlines or with travel agents and things like that?
Well, we don't really have any special expertise at the airline. It's just that we will try harder. Somebody else might give up a little sooner, but we'll keep at it until
Number 3, do you have...
Oh, boy, interesting bunch of gals. Good questions, too. But the bell rang. Time now to vote for number 1, and number 2, or number 3. And I saw Peggy make a gesture. I assume it's a number.
Number 1 is nice and cheery, and number 2 is really dying to tell us all about it. But number 3 is one of those people that doesn't tell you anything, and they're always real ones. And besides, she's got a big key on her chest. That shows she's in charge of a lot of things.
A chatelaine.
A chatelaine,
Yes,
see.
we have a 3, and we're going to Gene Rayburn.
Well, I think they were all really quite good, and I don't know how.
Tough team.
Yeah, it really is tough, and so you just have to roll the dice and hope you were right. I voted for number 1.
We got a bracket on both ends. And, Kitty?
Well, I love the two, number 1 and number 2, but they're dear little girls, and they're really more like my favorite cousin. But I trust number 3, and she's my favorite aunt.
All right. Bill Cullen, how are you going?
Well, you know, on the basis, a lot of times we say people who volunteer the most can't possibly be the real people. I think
Yes.
in this sort of a business, it would be wise to be that kind of a person. So for that, hoping number 2, it's you, I voted for you. You can do my shopping anytime you want, number 2.
We're spread all across the board. The votes are in. Who are you picking out there? You're going to find out right now. The votes are in. Will the real Jane Ray please stand up? There. Good job. Good team. Very tough. Number 1, tell us about yourself. What's your real name? What do you do?
My name is Janet Rothstein, and I'm a freelance copywriter, and I'm not as young as I look.
That's unbelievable statement to make. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you do?
I'm Sherry Smith, and I'm a natural volunteer. I'm a social worker.
Social work. Jane, how does one get hold of you? Did you look in the yellow pages under my favorite ad?
Well, I am listed in the New York telephone directory.
It can be most helpful to people who cannot get around and do their own thing.
Yes,
Thank you
please.
very much, Jane. Thank you, ladies, for being with us.
This is Bill Wendell speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.